Hi, everybody. Welcome to Diamonds in the Dust of Film Noir podcast. We are coming to you from Seven Lakes, North Carolina. I'm Brian John Mitchell. I'm a musician and cartoonist.
And I'm Chelsea, a visual artist. We created this podcast for you to raise awareness of the film noir genre and the performers of this golden era of American film history. And, selfishly, we did it to provide a space for escape that taps into our mutual interest in modernist literature, visual, and performing arts.
In addition to being one of our favorite genres, film noir also feels especially relevant these days, with characters struggling to improve their quality of life only to be crushed by the machines of the powers that be. In each episode, we'll feature one particular film, and for the first few episodes, we're going to be focusing on the work of actor Richard Widmark.
Yeah, so Richard Widmark was an American actor born in 1914 in Minnesota in an average middle-class town to an average middle-class family. He was an athlete and a successful student. He became involved in his high school theater where he applied his athletic discipline and competitive spirit to the performing arts. He continued on in the theater after high school and became famous almost overnight in the film world with his villainous debut as Tommy Udo in Kiss of Death in 1947. Later on, after starring in a few film noirs, he transitioned his typecast noir character into a more heroic role in westerns and dramas. He had a long and versatile career that spanned over 50 years in film, stage, and television. Widmark passed away on March 24, 2008 at his home in Roxbury, Connecticut, at the ripe old age of 93.
And so today we'll be discussing Night in the City, where he plays the character of Harry Fabian, an American hustler in London with ambitious plans that never work out. One day he meets a famous wrestler and dreams up a plan that he thinks will be his golden ticket to financial freedom. Fabian cons everyone around him to get his scheme to work while also conning himself. It's a tale of blind ambition, self-deception, broken dreams, and how a man that always thinks he's one step ahead in the game ends up creating his own demise. And it is worth noting that there are two versions. There's a British version and an American version. The main difference is the soundtrack to the American version is by Franz Waxman, who was nominated for a dozen Academy Awards in his career, and he worked on such films as Bride of Frankenstein, Rebecca, A Place in the Sun, Sunset Boulevard, and Rear Window.
Yeah, so speaking of the soundtrack, for me that was definitely the most elevated aspect and element of this film. It really sets it apart from other noirs. It takes it to another level. The first 5 minutes are unlike the rest of the film, but those first 5 minutes could probably be compared to that of a musical. The integration of music, dance, movement is almost vaudevillian, just absolute expert quality. Even though Widmark is not a dancer, not at all a singer, not at all vaudevillian, there's just something so crafted about his performance in the first 5 minutes. First 5 minutes is a chase scene, and it takes you through the streets of London, which also sets it apart from other noirs visually. It's an entirely different cityscape from the usual stock footage of New York and LA.
So how many cigarettes would you give this movie? A full pack is 20 cigarettes.
Okay, so I would give this film, I would say it's a 17 or an 18, the American version with the Waxman soundtrack. I'd give it a few less. The British version, quality doesn't drop, but it just doesn't have that je ne sais quoi, so to speak, that the soundtrack just kind of knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, I'd give it 15, solid 15 on the British version, and I'd up it to a 19 on the American version. I'd be hard-pressed to think of one that I like better offhand.
Yeah, the soundtrack and Widmark's performance really are top quality. Widmark is an interesting character actor, to say the least. There's just nothing contrived, but it's very crafted. Captures and embodies the spirit of the American dream. The whole idea that you can, pick yourself up by your own bootstraps, and rise out of any kind of humble beginnings that you come from, sheerly on wit, determination, and moxie. He embraces and embodies all of that spirit in this film.
Yeah, and the first 5 minutes really sets everything up. Unlike most film noirs, it doesn't start with a 5-minute long monologue explaining everything that you might have any interest in about the character's backstory. It just says, it's a night in the city. It could be any night. Could be any city, basically.
The storytelling is not dependent on the narration whatsoever. The storytelling is almost completely done through the first 5 minutes of music and movement.
Yeah, and then after the chase scene ends, we end up in his girlfriend's apartment. Girlfriend is, I guess, the co-star in this movie, though she's not in it very many minutes, actually.
So the girlfriend is Mary Bristol, who's played by big star Gene Tierney. Gene Tierney is an amazing actress, but this film just does not give her the space to really show all of her excellence. This role is pretty limited. She just serves Widmark character, Harry Fabian. She just serves to sort of give you some understanding of his character. She is his opposite. She's stable. She's sort of career and family minded, knows what she wants in life, knows where to go, willing to just put one foot in front of the other to get there. Harry, not at all. Harry wants the golden ticket. He wants to go from being a nobody to what he says is being a somebody.
Yeah, that's one of his great quote, I just want to be somebody, or something to that effect. And, you know, that's the American dream that we had pushed on us as kids, is if you just try real hard and you follow what you love, it's going to happen. And this is an example of it's not that easy.
Yeah. And him being at an age and a place of development in his person, not really having a set goal, not having a set of skills that's applicable to a career. He just knows that he's determined to be somewhere other than where he is now. And definitely somewhere beyond where he was originally from. Yeah.
He's not a fully evolved grown-up. And it seems like she's ready to be a fully evolved grown-up. And he's relatable in the way that anyone that's been a 20-year-old with a lot of energy and a lot of ideas, but not the backing socially or financially to use that energy to actually do anything with it. Like, if that's true about you, then you can relate to Fabian.
Yeah, and his skills seem to be charm, being fast on his feet, being able to work well under pressure, and being able to con his way out of any predicament he gets himself into.
Yeah, and we are, within those first 5 minutes, introduced to Mary's neighbor, who is also interested in Mary and is the opposite of Fabian. And I think he's just there to point to us what she's looking for, but not looking for at the same time. Because I think you find with a lot of young people, they're both looking for the excitement and the stability. And they haven't quite aged out of not looking for the excitement, but they know in their heart they should be going for the stability. And this guy is the stability.
Yeah. So I found him to be very, I guess I would say, creepy. Found him to be creepy. He seemed well-intentioned. He just wanted to make an honest woman out of Mary.
But Anthony Perkins could have played the part.
For sure. He has a somewhat nurturing quality. We see him cooking for Mary and counseling Mary and being there when she needs her man, but instead she finds this man, a man, any man. So he's just acting as sort of a stand-in. She alludes to the fact that she's disappointed and disillusioned in her relationship with Fabian, but she's not ready to make the switch. There's no attraction, no sexual tension whatsoever between her and the neighbor, other than that he's available and he's waiting and willing.
Yeah. And he does give what I think he means as a slanderous review, but I think is just an accurate review of Fabian, which is he calls him an artist without an art, and expresses that somebody that's that way, it drives them crazy to not have an outlet for their energy. And it's like, yep, that's what's happening right here.
Yeah, and Mary seems to be completely aware of that, completely aware of what the fate of this type of person is, but yet she's still hooked. Yeah. She can't quit Fabian. She can't quit him.
Yeah.
She's hooked.
So in the end, what do you think Fabian is? Is he a criminal, a con man, a hustler?
I think in relationship to Mary and what he is in their relationship, I would say he's more of a hustler. He has the determination and the ambition and the charm to get what he wants from her, and he has good intentions of what he wants to do with her, but his life is going in a direction where he can't really follow through. So I would say he's more of a hustler.
Yeah, I feel the same. I feel like he's a hustler in general, because I feel like he's a con man in the old definition of confidence man, where he's a guy that has confidence and gives it out to people. He makes other people feel confident as well. But I don't think he's ill-intentioned. I don't think he's taking your money and embezzling it. I think he's taking your money honestly, thinking that he's going to be able to return it with you from interest from these business ventures that he's doing. But it's not correct. He's a serial entrepreneur, but a serial failing entrepreneur.
Yeah. So I think they say something like most successful entrepreneurs fail like 78 times or something on average before they finally get their break. So this film kind of takes place when, at this moment, we know up till now, he has failed numerous times. He has a bunch of harebrained schemes that he somehow talked Mary into supporting and investing in that went nowhere. But now he has this opportunity. He got his golden ticket, and he's ready to use it.
Yeah. He thinks he's going to make it, and if you've ever been with somebody, like, not romantically, but just as a friend, these people that they're always all in with something, it's like you can feel their high about how certain they are, pulling you along with them, and it's totally understandable, somebody being hooked in with somebody like this and not wanting to let them go.
Yeah. So she, however, does not fall for this latest scheme. She's not willing to support it. So then that leads us to the next phase of relationships, exploring the next phase of relationships in Harry Fabian's illustrious career as a con man.
Yeah. Yeah. So he manages to get an in with an old man wrestler and tries to build a wrestling enterprise off of just his brains and his guts, and that he's gotten this old man wrestler to be fond of him. And so he's needing to pull in all of his chips, cash everything in, borrow from everybody, just to make it even look like it's possible that this thing can happen. And he's on the cusp of making it happen. For a moment, you feel like, is he going to pull this off?
So he stretches out, grasps for any resource he can find. So the first thing he does is he tries to get the investment from Mary's boss, who owns a gentleman's nightclub where they entertain rich guys with all kinds of singing, dancing, canoodling, and who knows what else.
Hand-dipped chocolates.
Hand-dipped chocolates. Catering. So he asks Mary's boss for the money. Mary's boss cruelly just laughs at him and says, there's no chance in hell I'm going to support your harebrained get-rich-quick scheme. So while this is going on, the boss's wife is listening. And she is kind of a duplicitous woman who is obviously just with her husband for his money and his influence, but she has ambitions of her own. She wants to create her own business as a nightclub owner, and she finds some opportunity in Harry's need and her need that they could coalesce into one supporting the other.
So he takes her money to, in her mind, to start the nightclub, but instead he just uses it to finance this wrestling scheme that he's got. He ends up stabbing her in the back, essentially, because he gets forged papers for the paperwork that she needs to open the club. Instead of spending the money to actually get the paperwork done, he just pays a guy to make forgeries, and then he takes the rest of the money for his own endeavor. But she is presented as the femme fatale in this film, but in a way she's not a successful femme fatale. She didn't get everything that she wanted. She didn't really change anything about Harry. She didn't drive him to the dark side. He's already where he is.
Yeah. Her role as seductress, temptress, I would give her a few cigarettes. I think she was pretty successful with that. She doesn't have the looks and the glamour that Gene Tierney had, but she has all the personality characteristics of the femme fatale. She's willing to betray the person that's supported her and given her this great life. She's willing to betray that person for her personal ambitions and drive to make her own way.
So this kind of brings up the point where, what is the moral of this story? Can hard work and ambition help you escape the machines of society to get to the next place?
If I had to, if you held a gun to my head to say yes or no on this one, I think, well, this film would teach us, no, it is not enough. You really need, you really need solid backing, and you also need a very well-conceived plan. You cannot just go off of your instincts and take chances to get to where you want to. You need a well-conceived plan.
Yeah. Just telling people that if you follow what you love, you can get it, that's not actually a plan. That's just bad advice.
Yeah. And that bad advice leads Fabian to kind of a bitter end, a cruel fate.
Yeah. Yeah, and in the end, he has a price on his head, and he comes to the conclusion there's one thing that he can do to atone for his sins, and that's to make sure that Mary gets the bounty for the price on his head, which I did the calculations, and it is $75,000 just to tell this gangster where Fabian is. And so he comes running out saying, "She betrayed me, give her the money."
Yeah, so I think if you just were to put this all down on paper and tell this story on paper, it would have very little life to it, and it would not resonate with anyone. I think what was so beautiful about this film is Widmark's performance, these really ethereal qualities that he was able to bring to this role. If you just put this down on paper about, kind of like a scheming hustler, burning all his bridges with his personal relationships and contacts to overcome his social class, gets you to this fate of a bitter end, that wouldn't be anything.
Yeah, that's been here, done that 1,000 times a day.
Yeah, and that just kind of comes across like a news report. But Widmark is able to bring all this life and pizzazz, or whatever, his magnetism to this role that really gives this role so much dimension and texture.
Like, I don't know much about his career. Like, this is the first movie starring him that I know of offhand that I've intentionally watched. And it's just, he brings it.
Yeah, so a lot of the work that he does with his face and his movements, you could kind of compare him to like Jim Carrey or some very physical actor like that. Not in a slapstick way. It's not comedic, not like Jim Carrey's comedic roles. But there's something so physical. He has this really maniacal giggle. He is able to just capture like all the darkness and selfishness that we all have, that we try to sell to other people as charisma.
His ability to kind of portray two things at once, where you can tell, like, he's an actor, but he's acting like somebody that's acting in the movie. He's acting in the movie against the other actors to, like, try to lie to them or whatever. And it's just like, to be able to see those two layers, but presented in a way where it would be believable to the other actor. It's 4D chess or whatever.
Yeah, I think in the early parts of the film, when he's trying to convince Mary to, put her money into this scheme that he's got going, he's smiling and he's like, he has this very genteel, sweet demeanor, and he's romancing her, not in a creepy, gross way, but just he's putting on all the airs to be convincing. You fall in love with him, you get entranced by him, you're like falling into, being hypnotized. You just start siding with him and you're rooting for him. He's able to get you convinced of that side of his character, and then you just so easily accept when starts kind of revealing that that's a love bombing.
Yeah, and one thing I think is interesting with his ability to do that is a lot of actors, they kind of rely on their good looks to pull that off. He's not particularly good looking.
Not at all.
He's very normal looking. He doesn't have like a James Dean quality or a Frank Sinatra quality. He's just a regular guy.
Yeah, he has such intensity with it, though.
Yeah.
He's so mediocre looking that the intensity is all done through kind of nonverbal hypnotizing techniques. He just has a way of drawing you in with facial expressions and just little slight movements in his mouth and the way he holds his eyebrows, just very slight.
Yeah, and there's something where he feels like the runt of the litter kind of a quality to him, like
you feel sorry for him a little.
So there were a couple other quotes from this movie that I just wanted to mention. When he's about to have his comeuppance, he's told, "You're very sharp, Mr. Fabian. You've done a very sharp thing. Maybe even sharp enough to cut your own throat."
That's a great one.
Yeah. And then later on, when the femme fatale is confronting her husband, and he starts to blubber about like that he loves her or whatever, she goes, "At least say goodbye like a man."
I think the whole film does kind of does do something in terms of like a commentary on manhood and what it means to be a man, but then what it means to be a man to a woman.
Yeah, and I think another thing that it provides in that same Think About series is what a woman wants shifts and changes over time. Sometimes they want the stability, sometimes they want the adventure.
And those things are rarely found in the same human being.
For sure.
Yeah. She's in a place where she really can't decide what she wants, because what she wants is what Harry already is, but she doesn't want what that comes with. She still wants what she wants, which is security and stability, but she wants it with Harry.
Yeah. She wants to groom him.
That's a good way to say it.
Yeah. I think that's about all we got to discuss this time out.
Tell us what you think.
Yeah, let us know what you think of this film. And please watch it, because it's amazing.
It is. See you next time.